Hi folks, we had a great time recently in Dubai, but we wanted to see more of UAE than just one city. So we had a look at the map, we realised that Abu Dhabi seemed close enough for a day trip, so we decided to hire a car and go and visit their Grand Mosque. Right, so let's rewind a bit. How do you get to the Grand Mosque from Dubai? So, given that these two cities are the two principal cities of the whole country, you'd expect the transport links to be pretty vast between them. Unfortunately, it's quite poor. Like most things in life, the easier the option, generally the more expensive it gets, and this is no exception. Your easiest option is to simply book yourself a tour, and that will give you a full day excursion to Abu Dhabi, including transport, but expect to pay a minimum of £50 per person. Next up, you could hire a taxi, which when we looked into it was about £150 return. You could do what we did and hire a car. We got a fairly run-of-the-mill SUV which cost £50 for the day, plus a couple of child seats at £8 each, and fuel there and back only cost us about £24, so £90 in total, but cheaper cars were available. We picked up our car back at the airport. There are loads of places within the city centre where you can pick up a hire car, but we felt just because the airport was outside of the city, you can go straight onto a motorway that darts around the city centre and towards Abu Dhabi, other than contend with the city traffic by driving right the way through it. Driving through the desert is quite boring. It's quite easy, but driving anywhere near Dubai can be quite hairy because they're 9-lane highways, so we wouldn't recommend hiring a car to anyone that isn't a confident driver. Lastly, the hardest option, and therefore the cheapest, is the public bus. Don't let that put you off though, it is incredibly cheap and it doesn't actually seem that difficult. We travel with young children, so we generally try to avoid temper tantrums on public buses. Much prefer to keep those confined within a hire car, but the bus would certainly be a great option if you weren't travelling with young children. Bus E100 leaves Al Ghubaiba bus station, which is next to a tube stop with the same name on the Green Line, every 20 minutes and costs around 25 dirham each way, which is about £5, so £10 for a return journey. The bus will arrive at the central bus station in Abu Dhabi, where you can then use taxis to get around if necessary. Dubai is massive and the journey time to Abu Dhabi is obviously going to depend on where you start. The bus takes about 2.5 hours and expect a taxi or a hire car to take about 2. When you get there, there's a massive car park underground. It's free to park and quite easy to navigate around. That will then lead you into an underground mall. When we went, it was still under construction, but there were still a few eateries available. I think it's due to be completed in 2020, so expect 1 million different food outlets available then. You'll then need to follow the underground air-conditioned walkways that lead you directly to the mosque. Don't do what we did and attempt to walk above ground in the 40-degree heat. Not pretty. Generally, head, arms and legs need to be covered, so if you do arrive and you're not wearing suitable clothing, you will be asked to put on additional layers, all of which are provided free of charge, and dressing rooms are available. Some quickfire stats for you. The Grand Mosque is the largest mosque in the country. It was constructed between 1996 and 2007, covering an area of 30 acres, big enough to accommodate 40,000 worshippers. It's also open most days from 9 AM to 10 PM, but only after about 4 PM on Fridays, and restricted hours during Ramadan. When you get to the Grand Mosque, you'll be led around a massive circuit, most of which is outside, but a lot of it will be in the shade. There will be 2 occasions where you'll get to go in the mosque, one of which is the main prayer hall, and thankfully both of those are air conditioned. You probably won't need much longer than maybe an hour or maybe half an hour to see the whole thing, which is ample time to get that perfect shot. At the end, there's a free shuttle that will drive you right the way back to the start, and then it's back underground for either a bite to eat or to drive home. Those of you like me who tend to melt when the mercury hits 25 degrees, be warned, visiting the Grand Mosque can be quite hot and uncomfortable. When we went, it was late October, it was still hitting about 40 degrees, which apparently is quite normal from about May to November. So we loved Abu Dhabi's Grand Mosque, and you don't need to be religious to appreciate its architecture and its cultural significance on the UAE. It's a great way to spend a couple of hours, and not forgetting it's a free attraction, which always gets my vote. So I hope you found that guide useful. This is obviously just one of many we've done on our Dubai trip, so be sure to check those out as well. Also, why not like or leave a comment, and your ultimate show of appreciation, subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any future uploads.